is the Motovation Podcast, hosted by Laurie Kingwell and Krissy Vann. That's me. And we're taking you on a little off-roading.
And every single week, we're going to be joined by our dope friend, Richelle from True Grit Moto.
Woo! Hey, I floss.
And every week, we are going to ask each other stupid questions, and we're going to answer them. And why, you may ask? Because we can. All right, this is your Motovation
Off-road edition.
Buckle up. Just kidding. There are no seatbelts on this one. On today's off-road, we're taking down memory lane to some of our favorite episodes.
What is the worst or weirdest thing a guest has done at your house? Oh. Whoa, loaded question.
Oh my God.
Opportunity in so many ways.
Let's hear it, Laurie.
Okay, mine. One was in college. A buddy stayed over at my house, was drunk, pissed in a blanket, didn't tell me, threw the blanket under my bed. And that was that. But later in the day, could notice a piss smell in my room, couldn't figure it out. Looked all around, couldn't figure it out. And then it was about the next day, and it got so bad. I was like, what is happening in my room? So I tore it apart, and deep under the bed in the corner was a blanket, which I thought just had fallen down. It never occurred to me that that was the culprit. Pull it out, lift it up. And absolutely, it doesn't take a detective. We're going to narrow that shit down. So that
sounds like your fault.
It is. It is. Moral of the story.
You knew.
Me. It's me. Yep.
Krissy, what's yours?
Well, initially, I was also going to go with a pee story because somebody definitely peed on one of our mattresses staying over after a night out. And then afterwards, when he was staying again, because he lived from out of town, I took the liberty of getting one of those covers for the mattress that are really crinkly for bedwetters.
Oh my God.
Just so that he could have hilarious shame, because he did tell us about it and offered to buy a brand new mattress. And instead, deep cleaning was the route. But that aside, weird situation. We used to throw really huge house parties when we got our place. And one of them was just massive. It was awesome and amazing, but all the different groups of people, as well as alcohol, can kind of be a dangerous recipe. So somehow it became a bit of a game by our gas stove that they were trying to light each other on fire if they were leaning on it, which then turned into a miniature little brawl. And then eventually they had to go. So I would say the Evan assault and the bedwetting were probably the top two.
Richelle, what's your best guess?
Okay, so basically, so when I was younger, when I was I might have been 22, maybe 23. I used to have a couple last year. Just kidding. 10 years ago. Thanks. So sweet of you guys. So I have this friend, she will remain nameless, but she had this thing where she used to travel a lot, hitchhike. She could never stay in one place at the same time, could never keep a job. She was wild as all heck and real trouble, but super funny and just really raspy voice because she partied so hard. You know, that type of person, right? So one time she calls me and she says, hey, I just hitchhiked down from somewhere. And can I stay at your place tonight? And I was like, sure. And at the time I was living in Aldergrove. I was working at a concrete plant. And I said, sure, no problem. So she comes down, knocks on the door and comes in, and she's wearing, long johns, a winter jacket, a parka jacket, set of crazy shoes. I don't even know. And as I'm about to shut the door, another person shows up. And I was like, oh. And Kelsey's like, oh, I said her name.
We can edit.
Okay. And so the person says to me, she goes, oh, I picked up another hitchhiker along the way. I hope you don't mind. And I was like, well, so I said, I guess I can't really say no now. It's midnight and I can't kick this person out. And it was another young girl, and she had big dreadlocks that went all the way down to her butt. She was pretty out there. And, I was like, I'm down for this. She seems pretty nice. So at the time I had this big, those big comfy circle couches that are from IKEA or whatever, right? The the poussage.
Yeah, I had one of those. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Poussage, what the hell?
So
I do know what you're talking about. I think it's
So we went from
poussage.
Swedish to French. The poussage.
I don't even know. So I'm like, okay, I got to work in the morning. You guys, make yourself comfortable. And she's like, we're leaving first thing in the morning. We're hitchhiking out to the next town. And I was like, well, what? Okay, that's cool. She's like, can you give me a pair of other, pants? These ones are burnt up and I need a new pair of shoes. And she was like a good buddy of mine. And I was like, okay, yeah, like I'll give you some stuff. And I put a nice little bed out there on the couch and then a nice little bed on the ground. And so I get up in the morning and surrounding the poussage is this lady's dreadlocks. And she decided throughout the evening to sleep or lay in this poussage of mine and completely pick out her entire head of dreads. Oh. And because it smelled so bad, my dog threw up in it. So I woke up at 7:30 in the morning. My dog is sick. These people have left. And there is a surrounding circle of this stench of what could have been like a cigarette having a shit at the same time. And I couldn't even believe it. I could not believe it. Like it was piles. Like her dreads were from the tippity top of her head below her knees. And she from 12 at night till 7 in the morning picked them out and left them in the house. And my dog puked in it.
I bet you wish that she simply had just peed on your poussage.
I'll take a pee story. I'll take a pee story any day. Any day. It was, I couldn't. It's
unbelievable.
I had to get my roommate to clean it up. He had a thing for me, so he was down for it. But I was like, I can't do this. I cannot.
That's a good time to have worker bees for sure.
Brutal.
Calling in a favor.
Yeah.
Wow.
Calling in the troops. Yeah, that was a bad one. And you know what? I've never had a bad guest since, other than one lady that stole my face cream, but she was fine.
She needed it. What is something you just recently realized that you're embarrassed you didn't realize earlier?
Oh, I've had some of these recently in my journey of learning how to cook, but I need to mull.
Something that we're embarrassed about that we just learned.
Yeah, that you are embarrassed you didn't realize before. I have one, but I found this out about 24, which is in a very embarrassing age to realize you got this wrong. I had the map of Canada completely backwards in my subconscious mind. And I was talking out loud about one of the provinces and Dave was like, I'm sorry, where do you think it is? And then I got talking. He's like, could you just take this pen and paper and draw the map of Canada for me, please? And I began. I was like, well, I don't know it exactly, but this is around what I see in my mind's eye. And he turns out very, very wrong. I had 3 provinces correct. It was Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta. I had Quebec and British Columbia on the opposite sides.
Oh my gosh.
West to east.
Wow.
At the time, I didn't even know necessarily which way was west and east. I knew that the sun rose in the east and set in the west, but yeah.
I was a little nervous there.
I had to have a think. I had to have a hard think there for a second. And everywhere, still to this day, if I'm going somewhere, no matter what direction I'm going up. And when I come home, no matter where I live, I'm going down. So you'll hear me say I'm just headed up to Saskatchewan, or I'm just headed up to Seattle. Well, Seattle's definitely not up. So here's the thing. But in my mind, if I go anywhere, I'm going up. And if I'm coming home, I'm going down. So whoever taught me geography, I don't think it's your thing. I don't think you're passionate about your teaching career.
That's fair. I don't actually know anything about geography.
Get a pen and paper.
Let's start at square one.
Let's find out. You know what? Let's find out the hard and easy way. Come on.
I cheat because my whole job for the first half of my career was pointing at maps. So it would be real awkward.
You're
real
like,
awkward if that had been me.
Oh, I love it.
I have one where I was embarrassed for someone else, and I know them well enough that I gotta share it because it's too good.
Absolutely.
I literally died. So this was my husband no more than like 2 months ago. And a friend of ours had announced her pregnancy, which subsequently got to the topic somehow about breast milk. And he genuinely thought, as women, at any given time, we just had milk ready to go.
Wow.
Oh, no.
Right? Right? I literally laughed so hard for a solid half hour because I was like, no, you're not. Like, you thought all this time you've known me and you thought I could magically be like, hello, world. He did. And it was so absurd in my mind. However, when I got to the root of it, it made a lot of sense. Like, traditional schooling was not his forte or interest. I mean, our educational system doesn't entice all different types of learners. And you can imagine when they had sex ed, or like when I went to school, it was called Fully Alive. Clearly he was not paying attention. And then when else would you learn that? So he just in his mind had it in his head that it was just in the waiting wings. And if I really had wanted to make it happen, I could.
I love that shit. I love when when I do it all the time. I assume shit and I never question it past just my blind assumption. And yeah, that's why I'm surprised that I didn't actually have more, because I've had so many things where I'm like, didn't know that, gone my whole life and had a very skewed, like, or just an assumption that was just blindly ridiculous. That's a perfect one. Yeah.
Yeah. All mine lately have been pertaining to cooking. Like, I clearly never knew how to cut an onion. Like, I leave things on food where Gav's like, that does not go in a pot.
Oh, yeah.
No. But I'm learning.
I don't know if I want to share mine.
Now you got to. Now suspense is built around it.
You know, when I was younger, I can't really think of anything right now, although I do embarrassing things all the time. It's either embarrassing or just ridiculous because I'm not really that smart.
So I'm in the same boat.
You know what I mean?
100%.
But when I was younger, I thought legitimately that you could get pregnant for masturbating.
Amazing.
I feel like I might have gone through that phase as well. That or like eating a watermelon seed. I was like, oh shit.
It's going to grow.
Amazing. I thought people, when they got married, they immediately got pregnant. Like when you say I do, when I was a kid, I remember being at my uncle and aunt's wedding and they got married. I was like, I can't wait for that baby. And I just like, my head was staring at him like, amazing. We get a baby in the family. Cause it said I do. Yeah. I was just like, congratulations. I cannot wait.
So wait, you're saying that we all thought something similar? This is good. My next question is a good one. If you farted in a car, what's your next move? You just farted.
Yeah.
Crap. What's your next move? What do you do?
I'm pretty much always the guy that's like, oh, heads up, heads way up, or down, wherever you might want to get out of the car physically with the head. I'm usually, if it happens, unless it's like, I don't know. I'm usually, because if you make the joke out of it right away, you're handling the situation. You get to decide the vibe of that fart. Where if you just ride it out and everyone else decides if it's funny, awkward, now you gotta, Whereas like if I've already planted that, like I've done it, it's funny, and this is why. By the time they decide,
move on.
Boom, it's hit them. Boom. Now we're all laughing. Windows down, and we're all having a chuckle.
Public relations on that. Very smart move. Crisis PR.
That's
it's happened.
Great.
The fart has happened.
The only thing I want to say about the fart as well is, as we were, because our mission today was like, hey, each of us come with 5 questions, and we'll see where it goes. And I had so many that popped to my head about farts, and I thought, leave it to me to come with the fart questions. And I'm so glad that you came with the fart question, Richelle. And not only that, first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
So congratulations.
Thank you. So you've like forecasted that there's more questions that are pertaining
Not
to
this
farting.
time, but they're coming.
Can't wait. Like a fart.
It's inevitable. Yeah, my approach would depend on the company for sure. So if it's somebody that I'm definitely close enough, I would say nothing and silently feel joy while I wait for the reaction. Like, I'm not going to give them any escape clause with the windows until I see it hit. Yes. And then chuckle and laugh. If it's with people that I'm so comfortable with, definitely a warning for sure. I think that's the courtesy move. And if my dog is in the car, well, then you really have life decisions of how honest you want to be in this world.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I love the fact that y'all are actually farting in cars. And
lots of places. Lots of places.
Are you a holder in? Like
it depends on your company. Yeah, I hold it in sometimes because I'm like, what if I want to date this person and I don't want to smell like a fart?
Oh yeah.
Well, that's
we're not letting them ripping on our dates. We're all like, they're picking you up in the car and heading for a nice meal. And you're like, crowd control.
That's how I lured them in. Wait till it hits. Wait till it hits. And if your reaction's
do
good,
you
then we are
want to
meant
know
to be.
why I locked the windows?
Right? I'm just going to see if they like me for me. Like, I don't know.
What do you think of that sound? You like that one?
You just went off-roading with the Motovation Podcast, hosted by Laurie Joy Kingwell and myself, Krissy Vann.
And of course, a special thank you to Richelle from True Get Moto.
Whoop, boss it.
Never miss an episode by hitting like or subscribe. Connect with us on Instagram at Motovation Podcast and visit our website at themotovation.com. And in the meantime, full tanks, full throttle.
I think this is good though. It's like healthy, like people will be like, oh my God, I don't floss.
Well, it's going to be so hard not to laugh to get through this intro.